YouTube, it's Boston Girl 556 and I'm doing a video on limits. That was a suggestion from a subby. I guess limits of the struggle of trying to have a baby by yourself. Like, how far do you go? She made some suggestions, and I know when I was in this journey, I wanted my answers right away. So even though I usually have a schedule Wednesday and Sunday, I'm going to start this tonight, even though tonight has been a freaking long night, and hopefully have it up in a couple of days outside the schedule because the few subbies I have, I'm there for you, and I understand what you're going through and that you want the information now, because I know I wanted the information now. And the reason I started doing YouTube videos is because there was nobody out here doing them. There wasn't gay or, going through different struggles. So I'm going to start with emotional. The TTC process can be ups and downs, and a lot goes through your mind. Like, can I take care of the baby? Can I really do it without a father? Do I have a village? You kind of get stressed, and stress is not the best thing for pregnancy. So figure out or try to find something that makes you not stressed. Easier said than done. But also in my TTC process with the miscarriages and stuff, I was just really, really depressed. And by the way, I might do this video in parts. The reason I'm still dressed is because I got to go outside and snow below when my mother gets back home. Anyways, so yeah, I had to go see a therapist because I was just so depressed about losing two babies, and would I ever have a baby, and how do I deal with this, and I don't understand, and I felt nobody's really helping or understood what I was going through. I mean, I didn't have a husband. Can I at least have a baby? Like, really? And this therapist was like the best freaking therapist in the world. She was like, okay, you don't have to worry about that right now. Like, I'm already jumping to 100. I haven't even got to 25. She was like, you are still in the process of trying. No, nobody has told you. I mean, I was still in the process of trying to have a baby. So she was like, what you need to do is ask God to help you if you get to that point, to how to deal with it. Like, do not focus on that right now. Stop focusing on the negative right now. And the negative is really an emotional killer. Like, if you focus on the negative, focus on the positive, or the future positive or whatever. And the point was, if I got to the point that I could not have a baby, how would I deal with it? I don't know how I would have dealt with it, but I didn't have to deal with it right then. That was the point. So definitely look at your emotional health and how to deal with it, because losses are not easy to take. Even months you try, you don't get pregnant can be very devastating also. Especially if you put time and money into it out of your pocket. And, I felt like I had all this debt when I went to the fertility clinic and nothing to show for it. And if you watch my journey, I went to any means necessary and got me a known donor. But that's another story, and you can go back into my videos. Second is financial. You really step back and think, how far are you willing to go into debt to have a baby? Now, the point is, there has to be some cutoff. To each person its own. I don't know everybody's financial situation. Some people have insurance companies that cover some of it or all of it or 90% of it. My thing is, if you got to fight with the insurance company, thank God they're there for you to fight, because personally, insurance companies barely covered nothing for me. It was all out of pocket. And I was willing to go into debt, but I wasn't willing to go bankrupt. So I was going to move to Massachusetts where the fertility was covered by insurance and try to do it here. The only problem is when you're going through the TTC process, and you also got to plan this, you tend to have a lot of appointments. So how do I start a job and then all of a sudden have all these appointments? So it worked out. When I did it and I was working my job, I just said I had female issues because I didn't want everybody in my business. And my boss was a male, and he didn't ask any further questions. At first he thought I had cancer or something because I was going to the doctors that much, but I assured him I did not have cancer, and that's how I did. And I had been on that job like 5.5 years. So leaving to go to appointments was no big deal. But insurance companies, if you have an insurance company to fight to the damn death, I would be calling them every freaking day. But I just didn't have that option. Mine didn't cover fertility. Doctors. Doctors do not know everything, and I would keep that in mind. They do not know everything. They are not God. They basically told me I had a slim chance in hell of having a baby, and as you know, I have a baby. Um, there is some validity. I'm not saying they don't know anything, but I'm not, don't put 100% of your faith in everything they say. And different doctors have different perspectives and different protocols. And you need to educate yourself so you can be your best advocate. If you feel like you want to be on high speed and you don't want to do the simple protocols because you don't have time or money to waste, you'd rather take fertility drugs with the IUI opposed to a few a few IUIs with no drugs, then you be your advocate. You're the one that pays for it. The only way I would conform is if the insurance company makes you go through steps to build up for them paying for it. Because sometimes they'll say, well, you need two unmedicated IUIs, and then we'll do the fertility drugs. And if they're going to pay for it, I'll do that. Now, granted, you're paying for the sperm each shot. And, they say, well, I went to this, the fertility clinic I went to said cheap sperm does not equal bad sperm. And she had given me a list of the sperm banks. And I think I did a video on that. If not, if you need me to email you the sperm bank list, it's kind of out of date, but you can look up, go to their websites and look up their amounts and how much things cost. But anyways, doctors do not know everything. You need to be your own advocate. There is some fertility clinic in Colorado, I think it's Colorado, I'll have to look it up, that deals with the worst case of fertility and have a high success rate. You have to realize that they do everything based on its success rate, and that's how they make their money. Now, I have to go snow blow. There will be a part 2. Part 2. I'm finishing this tonight, even though I am beyond tired, but I want to edit it tomorrow, and I have limited time with working full time. So anyways, I wanted to say, as I was saying, that doctors have different protocols, and some doctors find certain things acceptable and other doctors don't. So I think you definitely need to go to their seminars. Most of them have seminars that, tell you their protocols and how they do things. And I suggest you go to their seminars and ask all the questions you have. Like, for example, like one doctor might say, you're too overweight, you need to lose weight, or I'm not going to, work on you. And another doctor might not care about your weight. Some of them, because they are for profit mostly, their success rates are important because their success rates is what brings people to their office, and they shine away the worst cases to keep their success rates high. I found that out. So that's my little tidbit about doctors. Do your homework. Also, I know I'm always promoting acupuncture, but they have found that acupuncture brings blood to the uterus, I guess, and helps with fertility. So, and it's also relaxing because I also fell asleep on the table several times getting acupuncture. It was a little scary the first time, but I really got into it. Okay, who is your village? You're going to need several villages. You're going to need the TTC process village, and I'm telling you, not everybody's going to be down with you having a baby by yourself. When you tell somebody you're opening room for opinion and comments and what their perspective is and judgment and all this and that, and I got it from all sides. I got it from men, women, whatever. It was funny who was on my side and who wasn't, or who had time for me and who didn't. And the funny thing that really got me was all being single and not having kids, I always had the time to listen to people's problems or whatever. But when it came down to me, no, a few people did not have time. And I was totally insulted and disgusted. I don't care if you had kids, I'm having a meltdown here and I've listened to 1,000 of your damn meltdowns. You should be listening to mine. And I really, the people who were non-helpful, I cut off. I cut off because you never know when you have good friends until you need a friend. So the people who stuck with me through thick and thin are still here. And I needed that support system because I was depressed, I was upset, I was going through the process. I wanted people to understand. Sometimes I didn't even want people to understand. I just wanted them to listen to me. And it was really a lot, you know. So I feel like keep your support system small and only of positive people, not people putting the negatives in your head, because you will already do that yourself. Second, the village when you get pregnant. Everybody wants a great pregnancy that happens and everything's good, but you never know. I ended up in the hospital 5 days early out of preeclampsia, and my village was there for me every day. It was a couple, and one would spend the night, the next night, the other one would spend the night. So it was a beautiful thing. I didn't expect it. They gave me all the love, and there's no way I can repay them. I mean, they just made me feel so loved and that they were there for me. Now, if you don't have that village, you can always get a doula, which is somebody who's supposed to help support you through labor. Sometimes even married couples get doulas because you know the husband's not always equipped to support a woman through labor, and that's about $500 or $600, give or take, what state or city you live in, and they're supposed to be there through the whole process. And usually they're on call too, like if the one you pick isn't there, so usually a service. But I'd also try a friend, a family member, preferably, or a friend to have your back during that time. And if you are living in a city without family or friends, I would definitely look up a doula. Your village after the baby comes home. This is when friends are important, but I am so the independent person who didn't want to ask for help all the time. I'm just not that person, even though my birth team did call me, and one of them came over several times and brought me like soda, whatever. And then, so I didn't feel like I was putting anybody out. I gave her like a gift credit card with $200 so that she wouldn't be using her money, and then also I wouldn't have to go to an ATM or give her checks or whatever. So I just found that useful. You can buy gift cards, Amex, or what is it, Visa, MasterCard for a couple $100s. So that just made it so it didn't put anybody out like going to the grocery store. Ultimately, I ended up giving them the rest. I didn't use that much, just in my appreciation of what they did for me and everything else. But also, if you're going to have a support system because you really don't want to leave the house when the baby is new, or if you hypothetically have a C-section and can't leave, I would definitely, give somebody a couple $100 gift card to run your errands and stuff, and not feel financially obligated or you have to worry about paying them back. Um, Also, it wasn't always convenient for them to come over, and I needed stuff. So even though I really didn't want to take the baby out necessarily, I did take the baby out, and it was summer, whatever. I mean, she was born in May, so let's say May, like June-ish, we would go out, and we wouldn't be out that long, let's say 45 minutes, an hour, usually to a Walmart, whatever. But pretty much I would put the car seat canopy over the baby, and she couldn't really see. Somebody said I really shouldn't use the car seat canopy, but I think it was breathable material. Nothing happened to my baby, and I could lift it up and check on her. And when she got older, thank God, when she got older, people would want me to lift up the canopy, but because when I was going, most people were at work, because, you know, I was going in the middle of the day, on maternity leave or whatever. So we'd make quick drives to the store and stuff. And then being a single mother by choice, you know, I put her in a safe place in the apartment while I brought the stuff in. But, you know, hopefully if you don't have a village, I just am not big on depending on people like that all the time. So that was what worked for me. They did help me sometimes, and then sometimes I went out by myself. And a few times, I also like doing my own shopping. I don't know. I just like doing my own shopping because sometimes I wander and think about what I want. That I had to watch the baby for a couple of hours or like an hour, and I'd go shopping. So that's the thing about the village. All right, this is important too. I plan this out in the beginning so you don't get tripped out. Plan who you're going to tell. Because if you're not the type of person who can take criticism, I really wouldn't tell a bunch of people. And having a baby is really nobody's business, and you could really shut them down with just yesing them to death or whatever if someone's like really nosy. Like, I definitely yes someone to death with none of my answers really being true, but I didn't care. We weren't really that close, and it was kind of absurd that she was asking me a whole bunch of personal questions. And then I had somebody else ask me, and I just said the father was not in our life. And then they still kept asking questions. Like, damn, how nosy can someone be? But either way, I shut down those questions because you know what? If you're not paying my bills, if you're not going to be an integral part of this baby's life, or if you're just doing this for pure nosiness, then I wasn't telling you shit, right? And then also, my skin was thick when I was thinking about it, like not actually putting anything in action. So I was telling people, engaging what they thought, but when I was actually going through the process, I could not hear negative. Like, I would go off and cuss people out over the negative, And being in Georgia, I was in the Bible Belt, and us being victims and some man leaving me with a baby was okay, but me having a baby on my own, oh my God, why would you do that? It was very difficult. So emotionally, if you're not the type to take criticism, then I would kind of gauge, like throw it out there. Oh, I'm thinking about having a baby by myself. What do you think? This is way before you even start. And if you get negative feedback, I would not put them in your social circle of doing this. Also, if you do not have a village, I suggest you join the Single Mother by Choice forum, because then you can ask questions. I definitely got a lot of answers from questions. I definitely got a lot of answers from reading blogs. I didn't get a lot of answers from YouTube just because, well, I did and then I didn't. I got answers about insemination from the lesbian couples or the lesbians who've done inseminations. But, for my personal needs as a single mother by choice, I didn't get a whole lot of answers. So I feel like you really have to figure out what your limits are. There are definitely women who spent $100,000 trying to have a baby. There's no way I could afford that, so I had to be realistic. Actually, my having a baby was free, ultimately. And do I regret the debt I got into before the process for me to have a baby? Actually, no, because if I went the other way first, I would assume something was wrong with me and I should have did the testing, and that's why I wasn't getting pregnant. But essentially, I passed all the tests except the AMH test, which I did bad on, which was like saying I was going through early menopause and my eggs were shit. So I just took that as a grain of salt. I don't know what made me take it as a grain of salt, but I told myself the only reason I was not pregnant is because I didn't have a man. That's what I told myself, and that's what I believed. So that's how I went. So when you ask about limits, this was a subby's question. I hope I answered it. If I have not, feel free to ask me another question and I'll get more specific. But I think everybody's limits are different. I just say protect yourself emotionally, protect yourself from stress, because that's a deterrent from you initially conceiving or having a bad pregnancy too. Like, stress does not help pregnancy or the baby. You want to be serene and peaceful, and you know think of, if I can't do it this time, I'll do it the next time, meaning get pregnant, to take the pressure off. Take the pressure off, because you do not want to be stressed TTCing, and you do not want to be stressed um, pregnant. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask. Bye, YouTube.